It's Matt Santagapita from the Santa Sauce Houses team, and this is our Civic Long Weekend Monday Market update. Now, I hope everybody's at least enjoying some family time. I know in the London area we've had quite a bit of rain. I think Saturday was a really nice day, but off and on rain. Anyways, so in this video, I am not only going to cover the numbers for the London real estate market, I'm also going to go and compare how they've changed over the last 4 weeks on average. And then I'm also going to talk about mortgage interest rates, because I think they all kind of tie into what we're starting to see in the market. So without further ado, let's jump in. So this past week, we saw new listings come in at 201, conditionally sold properties at 47, and solds are pending at 87. Now, for those who are keeping track in the market, the sold/pendings have plummeted in the past week. So we've actually experienced a week-over-week drop of 30%, which is huge. Now, yes, it's a Civic Long weekend, so is it a shock that we've maybe seen them drop off? I would argue that yes. And the reason I say that is, generally speaking, long weekends, new listings drop off. Activity does drop a little bit, but 1/3 is pretty substantial. So I think that's a sign of what's going on in the market right now. Now, I wanted to then look and say, okay, if we look at the average over the past 4 weeks, where do these numbers stand? So the average over the past 4 weeks, new listings on a weekly basis in the City of London averaged 221, conditionals 55, and then solds pending 124. So we are seeing that consistent drop. The listing side, I will say that is because of the long weekend. Just typically fewer people want to go on market right before a long weekend, and that's because, it's a long weekend. You want to maybe have a barbecue, go camping, do different things. So typically people will wait till right after that to go up. But it's showing that, from, again, the solds pending side is, again, an average drop. When we average that out, we've dropped 30%. So it's not just a 1 week phenomenon. It's when we look at the average, sales are just dropping. Typically speaking, we do start to see that in July. Normally, it's just a regular occurrence in our market. Really, if you go back over the past decade or two, it's July you actually do see sales drop. You see generally prices also drop with that. And then once you get into mid-August, they start to kind of come back. And that's because we go through this anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks of, call it, vacation time for people. So I think, though, one of the other things that I want to touch on is I don't believe this is really just the summer lull. I think there's a few things, and that's one is obviously interest rates now have been high for quite a while. I'll highlight that by comparing 12 months ago what a variable rate mortgage would have been. A variable rate mortgage 12 months ago was 2.7%, and today that variable rate mortgage is sitting at 6.2%. And then 5-year money, when we look over the past 12 years, 5-year money is generally up about 1%. So a year ago, you were about the 4.24. Right now, you're about 4.25 to 5.5 range, somewhere in there. Now, why is this important? Mortgage rates are important, and in particular, the variable rate is very important right now, because we did see a lot of people jump on the variable rate because, it felt like money was free. Now, so anybody who is sitting in a house who is on a variable rate mortgage, they have seen their payments skyrocket, double, triple, anywhere like that. And why that's important is, or if you have a 5-year and you locked in, call it 2 to 3 years ago, you're drastically lower, you end up stuck. And it's not really stuck in the sense of you can't do anything. It's just you're so used to having such an extremely low rate on the, call it 5-year fixed rate, if you're, again, you got 2-3 years into it, that if you want to do that move up, you almost can't justify it, because you get fixated on, I've got a 5-year fixed rate mortgage, and let's say it's 2%. Okay, if we're going to move up, generally moving up, you're getting a bigger home. You're maybe going from, a standard home into the luxury market, whatever it is, but your payment's going to increase. And right now, with money being a lot more expensive, it's actually prohibiting people from selling and then moving into that next home. Now, what you are seeing is the downsize people, so call it baby boomers, moving out of their bigger homes. Right now, there's still a market for a lot of these big homes, big expensive homes in old neighborhoods, and people love them. So what we're seeing is this is a very advantageous time for baby boomers to maybe actually do that buy down. So for instance, if you're older and you want less stress, let's say, and right now you're living on a half-acre property, 4-bedroom home, your weekends are tied up with just maintenance and cutting the grass and doing all these things, we're starting to see baby boomers now are starting to really think like, hey, wait a minute. If I sell my expensive home and I go into a condo, even though condos are pretty expensive for what they would buy, they're still able to cash out significant amounts of money. We're not talking 50,000. You're talking $500,000, $1 million, even higher than that in some cases. So that really does top up their retirement. Now, in a slowdown in a market, what becomes difficult with that is that, again, those higher priced homes, as we get further into these higher mortgage rates, it's just taking a lot longer for these homes to sell. When you look at where our median and average home prices sit, they're in the 600,000 mark. So the second you cross the 1 million, you get into the 1.5 million, it really does become a much more competitive market where people scrutinize homes more. So, and that's where the location really kicks in. So are you onto protected trees? What do you have that the house down the road doesn't have? Do you have a pool? The whole staycation concept is still very popular right now because we don't know what future holds. So if you do have any questions around what to do, let's say with mortgage money right now, I mean, if you're on a variable and you haven't locked in, I do know some lenders that are offering special promo rates, so where you can actually go and lock in for 1 or 2 year, and you might be able to actually save some money that way. I have a hard time believing that rates are going to stay this high for much more than 6 to 12 months. And the reason I say that is a few weeks ago, interest rates became political, as they always do. And some of the comments out of our federal government that, housing prices have nothing to do with the federal government. And, it's kind of sad because I think, as most politicians do, they just dig their own graves because they think we can't go back to things that they have said. So I think at the end of the day, what we are probably going to see is, I do think we're going to see an election triggered here in the next 12 to 18 months. It's only a matter of time. And it's because interest rates have been politicized because of how much more expensive life has become. So whoever, let's say if we do see a political cycle get triggered here, you're going to start to see the parties that are not in power, they are going to start talking about cutting interest rates and different things like that. So we are going to see that political pressure trying to move the needle down. I know even the Bank of Canada has commented that the federal government needs to stop spending money because they are actually fueling inflation. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going on here. I still do believe it's actually a great time to buy. I think why I say that, though, is that it takes a little bit more conversation and dissecting an individual's scenario. If you're a first-time home buyer right now and you can make it happen, I would make it happen. And my main thing that I'm going to leave you with today is, if you're on the fence and you think housing prices are going to plummet, well, everybody's been saying that for 18 months and it didn't happen. They corrected a bit. But what we see is the amount of demand that is out there for housing is going to explode once rates drop. Once, or if, I guess we could say that. We don't have a crystal ball. But if you can think about it, if a 5-year fixed rate mortgage drops into the 3% range. Remember, right now we're at 2.25 to 2.5, or sorry, we're at 5.25, 5.5. And let's just say that goes to 3.5. The amount of people that opens the door for who can actually go and buy a home, and let's maybe throw in something crazy there too. What if they allow for extended amortization periods like a 30 or 40-year mortgage? The demand that is in the market for Canadian real estate, it's going to push houses even higher. It just will. There's no way around it because we cannot solve the issue we've had for the past decade, which is undersupply. It's just it. Builders can't build homes for cheap enough to meet the demand of the market. And that's just plain fact. There's no way around it. So if you are holding out and you think we're going to see, a 30% drop, I don't think so unless something crazy happens. I don't know what that crazy would be. But again, if 5-year money drops, the number of people who are going to flock into the market is going to be so explosive that the run-up we saw 3 years ago, honestly, is going to look like nothing. And it sounds insane to maybe say it, but I mean, even something like 30% of Canadians right now are thinking about once, factors connect that make sense, they want to invest in real estate. Well, we're also bringing in record immigration. You cannot bring in, 1 million immigrants to a country the size of Canada when you have 70% drop in building permits. There's no supply. We need supply. Our governments need to solve the problem of, let's just say it's red tape in development. And they need to figure out how to get the input costs on new construction down so that we do see home prices level out. So I don't know. That's my little tidbit for the Civic Long Weekend Monday Market Update. If anybody has any questions, feel free to shoot them in the comments as well. Send us a DM. Myself or Dale, we're always happy to get together and kind of give us our, give people our 2 cents on the market and stuff. So anyways, again, it's Matt Santagap, and enjoy the holiday Monday. Talk to you soon.